Ah. Namaskaram. I pay my solemn obeisance to all the viewers and listeners. I have been requested to give sermon in English language so that those who do not understand English could those who cannot understand Hindi could also have a glimpse on my views on Sanatan Dharma and other things. I have been giving lectures on many subjects, but people from other countries, they are requesting that some videos should be made in English so that they could also be aware of Sanatan Dharma. So today I am giving you some aspects of the greatest philosophy of the world, that is Vedanta philosophy. This is the only philosophy of the world which can satisfy you to the core. Man has many inquisitiveness that how this world has been framed, what is the relationship between me and world, is there anything beyond this world, how this world is making events on which laws or rules or phenomena this world is progressing. What would happen to us after death? Who were us before death? What is death? What is life? What are the emotions? How they are guided? What is consciousness? Is there anything which we could call as the controller? So there are many questions arising in the mind of even the greatest mind, which they would not have been able to solve up till now. There is only one philosophy, this is the Vedanta philosophy, which could solve all our inquisitiveness. This philosophy has no fault. This philosophy is the gist of Veda. So the gist of Veda is Vedanta. We could also summarize in this manner that gist of Vedas in form of knowledge are Upanishads, and gist of Upanishads is Vedanta. So this Vedanta philosophy, though it is propounded by Badrayan, but in reality, it is not the work of a single person, but it is the gist of all the Vedas and Upanishads. And this gist is written in the form of Vedanta philosophy, and that is the philosophy of Badrayan, but in real sense it is the philosophy of Veda. But from Veda there are many philosophies, which especially 6 philosophies are enlisted, which arises from Veda. And among those 6, this is the master philosophy. This is the best. This is the Vedanta. Vedanta means where the knowledge, even knowledge ends. Veda means knowledge. Vedanta means where even the knowledge ends. So, this is the height of all knowledges. This Vedanta philosophy is written in the form of a book which is called Brahma Sutra, means the formulae of Parbrahm Parameshwar. Since I am using this word of Sanskrit because there is no equivalent word in English. This is why I am saying Parbrahm Parameshwar. What is Parbrahm Parameshwar? I would later on explain. But for the English language purpose, I would say that Vedanta philosophy says that this existence is infinite. The first thing is that this existence is infinite. And this existence is infinite, and this infinite existence is called Parbrahm Parameshwar. Now, why it is saying that this existence is infinite? Now take the observation by even logic and even by physical observation. First, take by physical observation. If anything ends at a place, that means another thing begins from that place. Anything cannot end at a place if another thing is not starting from that place. This is the logic which, if you would apply, you would get the result in the manner it is written in Vedanta. So if you observe that, suppose that here is my hand is ending here. So where my hand is ending, that means from this place another thing is starting. What is another thing? That is the space, that is the air. Something must start where one ends. And if you would continue this logic, then you would come to the conclusion that you cannot end the series of this ending and starting. This is why it is endless. So this endless series is infinite. If you would go on adding and adding, if you would go on visualizing larger and larger bodies, you could not end. So if you would think in terms of earth, then where earth ends, then starts another thing which you could call space. Then it may come satellites, it may come stars, then nebula and many others heavenly bodies. So these bodies would never end. Suppose in science it is said that our universe is expanding and our universe has some distances. What after that? Vedanta philosophy says that if this universe is ending at a place, then there must be some another universe after that. So the number of universes are infinite. You cannot count the number of universes. Previously, scientists were saying that there is one universe. Now they are saying that they are multi-universe. They have accepted this fact that there could be multiverses. And after some time, they would say that they are not multiverses, but they are infinite verses. You cannot end the existence. This is what Vedanta philosophy says, that this existence is infinite. Now, if you divide, if you would want to go to subtlety, you would divide any matter. Go on dividing and go on dividing. You could not end the series of division. So this division series would go to infinite regression. So you would always get infinity, whether you would go on dividing or you would go on adding. So infinity is proved. This is the first proposition of Vedanta philosophy, that this existence is infinite. Now, suppose you want to prove it in mathematical sense, you could also prove it in that sense. You would go on writing a number, you cannot end the series of the number. So the natural number, you would go on adding and adding, and you cannot end the natural number. All the numbers, whether irrational numbers or rational number, so all the numbers, whether irrational number or rational numbers, if you would go on analyzing those numbers, you could not end the number series. Suppose in between 1 and 2, there are infinite digits. You cannot end the infinite digits. Just for the practical purpose, we used to we used to count in a series which starts from 1, and this series goes to 2, and then 3, then 4, then 5, then 6. But in reality, you cannot go from 1 to 2 because there are infinite digits which you have left because of the practical purposes. You have left 1.1, 1.12, 1.13, 1.14, 1.34, like that. In between any two numbers, there are infinite digits. Mathematically also, it is proved that there is existence of infinity. If you would go on regression, you could not end that. Suppose if you would want to know that what is lesser than 1, then you divide 1, then you would get 0.5, 0.4, 0.6, 0.9. So go on dividing and dividing and dividing, you would never end. Those religions which are saying that God is one, they get many problems in proving that God is one. Why? Because one can be divided and one can be added. This is the greatest problem for them. Suppose you say that God is one, then this God can be divided. It could be divided into 0.5, 0.6, 0.4. And this one number cannot be the complete series of number system. But the infinity could be the complete number series. This infinity represents the complete number series. This is why Sanatana Dharma says that God is infinite. You cannot restrict your God into one digit. Since God is unlimited, so digits should be unlimited, and God can be in the form of any digit. And here the digit represents the substance, the matter, the object, and anything which is not matter, not substance, not object. Suppose 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, these are the objects which we could observe through our eyes. Then 0.1 and 0.2 and 0.3, these are the subtle objects which we could not see through our eyes. And in between 0.4 and 0.5, there are still subtle digits which we could not see even by instruments. They are the subtler elements. So we have to analyze them by heavier instruments, by references only, by inferences only, by observing only the patterns, by observing the radiations. So we could analyze those subtle objects or subtle energies. In Sanatana Dharma, it is said that Parabrahm Parameshwar is all, whole. There is nothing that he is not. And in Abrahamic religion, it is said that God has created the world. Now they get a problem when someone asks whether if God has made this world, then your God would end where this world begins. And they have no answer to satisfy the questioner. You could only satisfy when you would say that God is not one, but God is infinite. This is what Vedanta philosophy is propounding. So this is the first and most important philosophy of Vedanta. And on this observation only, all the systems are designed. All the systems of Sanatana Dharma have been designed on the basis of this observation, that is, this existence is infinite. Those who are atheists, those who do not want to accept God as something, another being out of this natural world, so they also have no problem in Sanatana Dharma, because Sanatana Dharma is not saying that you should consider this infinity as God only. You could call this infinity as infinity also. It is your vocabulary, it is your acceptance of the word which you would like to call. If you want to call this as Parbrahm Parmeshwar, okay, no problem. If you want to call this infinity as infinity only, there is no problem. Now, if you accept this this existence as infinite, now the second thing comes here is how to realize that infinity. By logic, you have come to the conclusion that okay, this is infinite. Now, how to realize by existence, by existential sense, in existential sense, by your own being, in your own being, of your own being. This is the most important thing. From here, for here, sadhanas, it means practice for realizing in factuality all the stages of experiences up till infinity. So, practices are there for realizing every steps, every stages, every status of our existence. So, Sanatana Dharma says that you are not only limited to this thing, not only limited to this physical body, which is about 6 feet tall and about 100 kiloweight. This is not only your existence. You are subtler and subtler, and you are greater and greater, and you have to realize the whole range of your existence. And you could realize this by following sadhanas, by following practices. So the spiritual practices, you have to conform to those practices, and then you would come to realize that this existence which you have concluded in infinite sense, now you would realize it in infinite forms, and this could only be done by practices. So there are many practices which are called yogas. So Jnana Yoga, Dhyana Yoga, Mantra Yoga, Tantra Yoga, Yantra Yoga, Raj Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga. There are many yogas. About 84 yogas are there. You could follow any of these yogas, or you could follow many of these yogas. It is your choice. So if you would go through those yogas, you would gradually realize, and not only realize, but you would also control everything which you wanted to control previously, but have failed to control. Suppose I would say that you should stop your thought. Could you stop? You could not, because you have no control over your thought. You cannot stop your thinking process. I am talking about thinking process. You cannot stop your thinking process because you have no control over your mind. And you have very little control over your emotions because you have no control over your mind. But if you practice yoga, whether Dhyan yoga or Gyan yoga or Bhakti yoga or Mantra yoga or Tantra yoga, you could easily control your emotions. You could modify them. So you could control your emotions, you could control over your actions, you could control your intentions, you could control your immunity also. This immunity is very important in fighting microbial invasions like viral invasion or bacterial invasion. In this corona period, those who are following yogas, they need no vaccination. They could manage their immunity. If they would want to manage. But if they left their body, okay, I have no problem with these viruses. They could accept those viruses and also that way. But if they would like to resist, they could resist by increasing their immunity. This is what yoga gives you the power. This is the supernatural power. So, once you start this yoga, then you would come to notice that all those things which remained unexplored by your normal sense behavior suddenly becomes exposed to your practice, and you would come to realize those events, those mysteries which remained unexplored up till now. And then you would come to know that you are not in any deficient position. Why people are working? Because they are thinking that they are always in deficient position. They always want to add something. And this deficiency, the sense of deficiency, they always pressurize you. The sense of deficiencies would not allow you to smile in real sense. You will always find yourself in a tense position. You will always find yourself in a calculating position, how to make money, how to get job, how to make relations, how to achieve something. So this is the real cause of deficiency, that you are not knowing your real entity. If you would come to know the real entity, then this deficiency would end, because you would come to know that you are whole, that you are not devoid of anything. You are all things. And if you are all things, what to worry for? This is what Vedanta philosophy says. So when you would realize, when you would get your divine entity, when you would realize the divine entity which is infinite, then all things are full of pleasure. All things would become a divine beatitude, and you would become all things. You would realize that all those things which you used to determine that these things are external to me, then you would come to realize that no, these things are not external to me, but these things are I. I am these things. And these things are I. So you would come to realize that all the things of the world are you, yourself. There is nothing which you could not say that this is not I. And then your I becomes infinite. And this is the beauty of Vedanta philosophy, that it makes you infinite. When it makes you infinite, you are not devoid of anything. All things are you only. You and only you exist. So if you and you only exist, there cannot be any enemy. There cannot be any other things which you should be fear of. This is the beauty of Vedanta philosophy. And then you would become peaceful. A divine peace incarnates in you. A divine bliss incarnates in you. And then you would be Parbrahm Parmeshwar. One who knows Parbrahm Parmeshwar, one who realizes Parbrahm Parmeshwar, becomes Parbrahm Parmeshwar. Because there can be nothing which is not Parbrahm Parmeshwar. There can be nothing which is not infinite. So anything which you think that it is just an object which is limited in boundaries, in real sense, that object is not limited. It is your limited vision which is classifying, which is determining that this is limited. In real sense, it is not limited. If you would go on dividing and dividing, if you go on adding and adding, you would get that, oh, this is not limited. This is unlimited. So every object which seems limited, in real sense, it is unlimited. You cannot end anything. So there is no ending in reality. You only visualize that this body is ending because you are not observing the continuation of this body to that body. The gap, the space between this body to that body is observed as a space, as different thing from this. This is why you are saying that this is different thing and that is different thing. And this is space, this is altogether a different thing. But in reality, this is space and this object and that object, they are in real continuation and they are really one thing. This is the Vedanta philosophy. Now, the problem here arises that you could ask that if all these things are one and only thing, then how we come to know that this is different and this is how it looks different? It is because differences are also comes within the framework of infinity. Means these differences are the subsets of that infinity. The greatest set is infinity, and within that great set there are many subsets which are within that set, and those subsets, they are not different things from that set. Means they are only the expression of that set. They are not different objects which are included in that set, but they are objects which have arisen from that set. Means they are the manifestation of that infinity. Means every object is the manifestation of that infinity, and it has manifested in different forms, and those different forms were observed with that difference sense. When acknowledges with that different sense, this is why they are look like differences. Otherwise, if you would realize all those things at the level of divine sense, then you would come to know that they are same. Suppose in order to understand this, I would make you visualize a pattern where are only dots. With those dots, we can orient some dots in a different pattern and some dots in different patterns. And those different patterns, because they are oriented in different sense, this is why they looks different. But in reality, they all are composed of those dots. So their composition element is same. There is no difference. What is the difference? Their orientation. And when they cling together, when they join together, when two dots join together, they become different. They makes different pattern, that makes different shapes. They make different volume, different mass, and different speed. This video is now becoming bigger, so I would conclude this lecture in some another video also, because I do not want to extend it to 1 hour or 2 hour or 3 hour, because this is very vast matter. But here I would like to conclude this video in 3 or 4 words. That first thing is that this existence is infinite. All the substances, objects, energies, dark matter, all the things, they are the manifestation of that infinite. So that infinity acts as a whole and not as a part. Here Vedanta also says that any event which is occurring in this existence, that event is the reflection of mixed reactions of all the factors of this existence. Means you cannot do any single thing which you could say that you are doing, because in the happening of one event, the whole existence work and whole existence, all the factors when work, then an event happens. So every event is in fact the manifestation of this whole existence, which is infinity. This is why it is called in Sanatana Dharma that all events are in fact the work of God. Not God in the Abrahamic sense, but in Sanatana Dharma it is said Parbrahm Parameshwar, Paramatma. So no event could be performed by a single or many factors, but all the factors of this existence conjoined together, mixed together, then we get the net resultant in the form of a single event. So a man should not be egotistic, should not think that he is the doer. In real sense, this whole existence is the doer. So you should not become egotistic. If you are egotistic, you cannot realize that infinity. So you have to shed your ignorance, and that is the ego. And if you want to shed your ego, that means you are a devotee. Here the seed of devotion starts. Devotion means a complete surrender of ego to that infinite existence, which is called Paramatma. This is what Vedanta teaches us. For this video, this is enough. I hope you get some glimpse of Vedanta philosophy, and in some another videos I would explain it in some another sense. If you would want to ask something, you could comment, and on your comment I would make videos. That would be better, because if questions come from your side, it would be easier for me to explain according to Vedanta philosophy. Om Hari.